there's levels to this thing. So break it down for us.
So, okay, I'll take you back to, so the sport obviously started in Scotland back in 1700s. So it's been played for many years. So if you get into the 1900s, early 2000s, fitness was not a big issue. Curling was kind of based around the social side of things. And some of the best curlers in the world at the time probably couldn't make it down a flight of stairs without losing their breath. So
Yeah.
since it became an Olympic discipline sport, I think it was 1994, if I'm not mistaken, or 92 or 94, all of a sudden now the training came in. So to your point, everybody was in the gym on a regular basis because they saw the value in being able to sweep for six games over the course of 3 days and so on and so forth. So it's the fitness side of it has really come up. And now you're seeing where teams are eating, they have nutritionalists, they have sports psychologists, because there's money in the sport for the top teams and the top countries, and countries are wanting obviously medals. And so, yeah, the fitness has.
Because I even look at golf where I see where Tiger Woods make golfers start lifting weights. Because before, golfers used to be, the visualizing of it is that golfers are old people just swinging clubs. But with Tiger Woods, you see where a lot more younger people buff up and be like, hey, the sport grow, and I'm sure with curling, as you said, people have to get fitter. And as I said, with money in the sport, and you're growing and you invest, you have to, you amp up. So tell us, how do you train for curling? Like how do you train? 2 times a week, 3 times a week, 3 times a day? I mean, to prepare for an event or closer to the event, you do this more versus do that more. Give us a rundown of a training session for curling.
So essentially, your core and your legs are your biggest assets in curling. So having the strength in your lower body is probably the most important, and then obviously upper body because of the sweeping. So the skip typically doesn't sweep, so they usually joke that you don't have to be as fit, but the rest of the team has got to be in good shape. So you would be training probably 2-3 days a week, just strengthening legs, and it's not all bulk training. You have to have stamina. So typically people who might be good runners would be good curlers, and then on the ice you're throwing rocks, practicing 5 days a week, 6 days a week.
Oh, very nice.
I'll let me invite Robert, because I see you wanted to say something earlier.
Oh, well, I just the guys weren't introduced properly in the beginning, so listeners may not have known. But before I start that, I just want to reach out and give my condolences to the friends and family for Hubert Lawrence. He was a good friend of mine from in table tennis days, actually. I've known Hubert from those days, and I've known him a lot from my track and field and my travels throughout sport. So condolences to the listeners and friends and for Hubert. That being said, you brought up a point earlier about how development of curling would take place actually in local Jamaica. And Ian touched on some of it, but a lot of our focus is going to be on, as Ian said, dealing with that diaspora, those in England, those in the United States, and those in Canada. The other big area which we're going to work on is a lot of children and students now who are transitioning from Jamaica to go to the US and Canada to study. This is now going to become an opportunity, just like we had the bobsled, ice skaters now, skiers that we have, and as we know, we have an ice hockey team. We have no Jamaica. So the development is going to take place overseas. So it will just be another sport that will be introduced that our local athletes and our local people out here can go and participate now overseas. Before, when curling wasn't an option, or they would not have known it was an option. Curling Jamaica now, you can become a member, and when you go to school or university or when leaving Jamaica, that can now be an option for us to develop on. And then those who make it well in school over there will then be pulled upon to form and come and play like what we have here now, nationals. The other area, which another one of our past captains will be working on to, is to come to Jamaica and actually find talent down here. Find out, certain, people who have the natural skill. Another thing that I noticed you guys didn't bring up, and I don't know if you guys are young enough to know about marbles, but marbles back in the day, curling has a lot to do with marbles kind of style, you know, it is, and how
Yeah,
close
yeah.
to the center ring and getting another pan out. So we want to find who are some of those natural skills here and actually take people from the schools up to Canada to train on curling before bringing them back to Jamaica. And when they leave to go back to school again, they'll have already had the basic knowledge and startup thing to get right into the sport when they go overseas. The 3 avenues, those that are overseas already, those moving to overseas, and actually to bring players from people from in schools in Jamaica over there to academies in Canada.
Yeah, I like
Do
the
the
sound of it.
universities offer scholarship for curling in the States
Yeah,
and Canada?
Ian put more answer to that in Canada now, how that would work.
Yeah, because
Oh,
that
sorry.
would be a big draw for the kids here.
Universities give scholarships for curling in Canada.
Oh, I see. Yes. So through through the Canadian Curling Association, scholarships are curling's come so far in Canada as far as the Curling Association getting involved and supporting the kids. So there's probably 3 or 4 events that lead up to the Canadian Championships and even on for kids that are under 25 years old. So all of the focus now is in the youth in Canada itself. So and then there's other categories all the way through for any age. But I think obviously they want to, a lot of these countries are doing that now where they're putting teams together that are 19, 20, 21, 22 and allowing them to play together for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And you're starting to see these teams on the world stage representing these countries.
Yeah, all right. Sounds good. And it sounds like curling is on the right path. So, I mean, as I said, 10, 15 years down the road, we can be like, all right, looking forward where we can tune in, whether on the television or live stream for Jamaica representing, whether it's Olympics or World Championships. So, I mean, go ahead to promote, I mean, even your federation or where we can even go and see some curling. I'm sure you have an IG page or a Facebook page where you can promote, because we have to get it out there to know that, hey, Jamaica coming hard for curling and we're going to represent. So before we go, hey, tell us where we can go and follow on IG.
So all of our information is at www.curlingjamaica.com.
Oh, nice.
And then it branches off. You can get our Facebook page, Instagram page, but everything you need to know about Curling Jamaica, how to join us, how to find us, play for us is all on that website.
Follow the events. Everything is on that website.
Yes.
Where the event's coming up, the schedule, everything.
All right. Yep.
All right. So we will definitely follow that, and I hope the listeners are even got that down, because curling, and as from Jamaica represent, we have to go out there and follow it.
All right. So,
great.
Reverend, to the president of the Curling Association, I want to thank you for coming on Primal Sports today. And
thanks for having me.
I know the Gensec is a little bit busy, but tell him thanks for me.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
All right, no problem.
All right, curling. I see that we're expanding ice hockey. We started with ice hockey about a couple of years
I mean,
ago.
first it was bobsled.
Yeah.
You remember the old Cool
Everybody
Runs
knew
bobsled.
Cool Runnings.
Bobsled, curling, ice hockey,
Yeah.
skiing. I mean, we're branching off and doing, and to me, all of this. I mean, it's opportunities, and if the world doing it, I mean, we have to get involved.
Yeah. What I love most about it is that the scholarship is there as well.
Opportunities.
That's a big pull factor for a lot of the kids.
Yeah, we love sports. I mean, no matter the sport, or get the opportunity. Because even so, I growing up, I didn't know much about table tennis until I reached high school, and then from there, I fell in love with the sport. I think the sport more chose me than I chose the sport. But I'm speaking about table tennis. So I'll finish with curling just for a second now. We're jumping to our next guest now there.
Yes.
Table tennis, because we keep table tennis.
The man with the big serve.
Yeah,
the man with the big serve.
Yeah, he even look younger from the last time I seen him. About 20 years ago. I don't know how him do it. The first more I know the secret there, because and them say table tennis keep you young still, you know. Yeah, because I know some people like the you're laughing in the background. Him know what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, but people, let us welcome to Primal Sports, Darren Blake, former national table tennis representative for England.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Hi guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
Great
man.
to see
Great.
you.
First of all, you're still looking young, man. That means you're still playing some table tennis, man.
I'm trying. I wish I was playing. I started a bit more on the golf side. I think that's what's
golf,
keeping me relaxed.
Golf keeping you relaxed. Golf look like it's a whole heap of work, man. I mean, one thing with table tennis people, we're competitive. So once I know you go playing golf, you're not just going to go out there to swing the golf
That's
club.
true. That's true. Yeah,
That's true.
But good
So-
exercise. Good exercise.
It's good with
And I'm feeling relaxed. I'm feeling relaxed because I've been watching Arsenal and they're winning. So I'm more relaxed.
yeah. Last time I checked, the score was 2-0.
Huh?
What's the score now?
4-0 now.
4-0.
Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Spanking Newcastle. So you
Yeah,
say
exactly.
Arsenal taking the league this year?
No, unfortunately, I'm not
Yeah.
confident. But Man
Not
City
confident,
too strong. But let's
Too
see.
strong. Huh? Yeah.
But no, it's great to see you guys. It's been a long time for sure.
It's been a minute, and I mean, we know we're doing our thing on Primal here, so we have to kick off things on with you on your table tennis career, and tell us how you got started in table tennis.
Yeah, I started at the age of 7. My older brother used to play Jason. He's 3 years older than me. And there was a Chinese coach who actually originated from Trinidad who was had a great club down in London. So I started playing there and just for fun really, was enjoying it. But I saw that I had a bit of talent. And then at the age of, I think it was under 9, I won the under 11 English championships. And that's when I think my parents and we all saw I had something there. I still continue to play other sports like cricket, football, etc. But realized that I really enjoyed table tennis, and my parents really pushed and supported me. Traveling around the country from such a young age. So I started at that age, carried on playing, and then started representing England from sort of the age of 12, 13, traveling all around Europe. So really good experience, really good fun. We had a good generation of players when I was that age. It was Desmond Douglas, Guy Andrew, Alan Cook, Carl Preen. So it's probably the best ever English generation. I think that gave us a chance to look up to them growing up. But yeah, that's what started me playing at that age, really.
Yeah, 'cause we know the names, Alan Cook, Desmond Douglas, because we even had Des Douglas on the show some time back, and he shared his experiences. So I can imagine growing up under that tutelage or even looking to pave that way with him. So, I mean, that was your junior career. Tell us more about, the senior end of the career now.
Yeah, so I finished my A-levels and at the age of 18, got an opportunity to go out to live in Sweden and train in Sweden. And that was probably the eye-opener for me because Sweden at the time had sort of had Waldner, had the best players, and they'd recently won the World Championships. I think it's probably their last team to win it outside of China. But I played for a club called Lyckeby, which was in the Premier League. So you had Philip Save there. You had Kim Song-hui. So you had really strong players in that league. And I was training every day. And that was the first time I'd gone out there and trained every day. And even a guy called Coyote Kadiri, who was in that Swedish national team with Waldner, Persson, Appelgren. That was the level of players I was training with. We had the coach at the time had coached the World Championship team. So I played out there for 2 years and really brought my game on. And I remember coming back sort of a year later and winning a couple of pro event tournaments in the UK. And that's what pushed me up to sort of top 5 in the UK at the time. And I would have been 19 then. And that was a bit of a shock for everybody. And then just around that time, we got a lot of lottery funding. So the lottery funding into the UK, and they were able to pay the players. So they were able to play the players to have a national team there in Nottingham. So I moved back to Nottingham at the age of 20 and again was able to continue playing full time. And that's where you really saw the difference. Once you're able to train full time, you're able to get the funding, get paid to play, get paid to travel to all the Pro Tour tournaments. And at the same time, people like Des, Sky Andrew at the time was getting close to retirement. So he became my coach as well. But you had a lot of sparring partners who they would pay to come over. And that was a difference, really. When you saw getting that level of funding, being able to play every day, you saw the effect it had on your players. And that national centre, I would have been sort of 20 there when I joined, and I did my degree at the same time. And the likes of Darius Knight, Paul Drinkle, they were sort of 9, 10 then, and they lived at the centre and went to school there. So they were the first generation who were able to grow up playing table tennis every day while having the same level of education. And that's the thing. That's the difference with sport, when you can get that level of funding, get that level of training, what it does. And
to go to that next level, you have to have backing with incentive, because I mean, if you don't see where their avenues opening up and plus a support system, it's tough to be a professional.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So
And
I
we
mean,
still probably saw, like, I got to a good level obviously because of that, but
Yeah.
growing up we didn't have that, you know. So growing up we were running around where I was having to travel an hour and a half, 2 hours to get a good level of training at my standard. So until I got to that age of 18 to go out to Sweden and then get the national centre training, I was probably playing a few days a week and I was having to travel myself. And you saw the difference. If you don't have that base from a young age, it's still hard to get right to the top. So I obviously got to a good level, a good national level, and maybe top 200 in the world. But that was the difference between getting to the, you know, the best in the world. You look at the
150 top
generation
100.
before us and then the generation after us, like Liam Pitchford, they had it from a young age, you know, and you can see why someone like Liam got to sort of top 15 in the world.
Yeah. Him and Drinkall doing good things now for England and having England playing D1 table tennis.
Yeah.
As I remember, they were coming up, they were youngsters playing in D2, and I saw where they grew and, I mean, become world beaters. So, I mean, back to you now on your career. Tell us about you played for Jamaica for a short stint. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so I played. So after my degree, so I did my degree, and I sort of thought, okay, I'm probably going to have to get in the real world in the end. So I did the degree at sort of 21. Did European business and French degree, and once I was getting towards the end of that, I was still playing for England, but it was getting harder and harder, as you can imagine, because you start to work, and then the other guys are playing professional. So I stopped playing for England. I had to wait for 3 years before I was able to represent Jamaica. My family's all Jamaican. My parents are Jamaican. Moved over when they were in their 20s. So I was able to play 3 years after that. So I probably played for Jamaica at about the age of 26, 25, 26. And I remember the first time I was still playing at a decent level. I was playing for a London club, and we were national champions as the London club at England level. And I remember coming out for Caribbean Championships. I think it was the first tournament I played for Jamaica.
I think that was 2003.
That was it. Yeah, 2003.
Yeah.
I would have been 23, 24.
Yeah,
And
I was a junior at that time, so coming up, I was there in and around.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, and 2003. Yeah, that's right. So I would have been more like 26.
Yeah.
And I remember going out and thinking, everyone was saying I was going to do big things. I had a tough tournament.
Yeah, I remember you guys. You had a big serve, and you know, after that serve came an attack. I remember as a youngster seeing that, being exposed to top level table tennis in Jamaica. I mean, that was an eye opener for me, and you know, helped me in my career to even want to play even more table tennis. I can remember that.
No, for sure. Yeah, it was a key, and I think the tournament itself was great experience for me. Stephen Hilton came out of retirement in that tournament and did really well. He did great, and he sort of kept us going. I was disappointed in how I played. I think it was a case of obviously not having used to the pressure when you weren't training every day, because I was used to training every day. You know, probably not coming out early enough to get used to the conditions. Obviously the hotter, sweat, different floors. So it's a bit of a shame, really. So I wish I had been able to do a bit better for the Jamaican national team.
You still represented, and I mean, you left your mark. You still represented, and you left your mark. And I remember that stint, as I said, especially with the serve and the attack. But
that was the biggest part of my game.
To the career. And funny enough, I didn't know more of the backstory that I'm hearing now, and it's a pleasure to hear the backstory how you came up in the sport. As I say, under 7, under 9, with junior, going to school, working, and even paving the way now for the likes of Liam Pitchford and Paul Drinkall, because anybody who follows table tennis knows these names and see them play. So I mean, I guess you know, you're a groundbreaker where you make things happen there in England and even here in Jamaica.
Was that serve named after you?
Yeah, people used to call it the Blakey for a while.
The Blakey.
And I think a lot of people took it afterwards. I learned it when I was out in Sweden. Funny enough, the reason I started serving like that was because I don't know if you know what the yips are, when you sort of get a bit of pressure and you lose your feeling in your wrist, you know, when you're a bit of pressure. And I went for a stage where I couldn't serve short. So I used to serve a bit more traditional. And when I was out in Sweden, it was probably the pressure of the players you were playing against. So where I used to normally touch the ball, I started doing that to get a bit more control. And that's where the serve came from, strangely. So it's a weird story. And then I was able to do underspin, topspin, side spin in that way. And a lot of people serve like that after. So Terry Young, Gareth Herbert, all of us end up serving the same way in the end. And we got a lot of success.
Which one of you started the serve though, Darren? Who invented it?
Yeah, definitely was me. Definitely was me. Everyone used to call me.
There you go,
I'm gonna tell my Darren Blake story. Can I
That's
tell
what
my
I
Darren Blake
can
story?
say with
ahead.
confidence.
So Darren, we played in the US Open in 2000, I think it was 2000 or 2002. I actually played
That was
against
Miami.
you.
Miami, was it?
Yeah, I actually
Yeah,
played.
yeah.
It was Fort Lauderdale or Miami.
Yeah,
I actually
that
played
was
against
Fort
you,
Lauderdale.
and in those days we had 5 serves, so it had to be
Yeah.
about 2000, 2002, right?
Yeah.
And people don't know this, but when I played you, the first 5 serves you served, it was 5-love, and then I got to 5-all, and then you served again, and it was 10-5, and we got to 10-all. And we went all the way up to maybe 15, 16 all. And then you won that game. And I remember it was so embarrassing trying to return the serve because I couldn't see the contact. And Keith Evans was in my corner. But every time I turned to the coach for help, the coach was laughing. Yeah. And then we watched Garrett serve against a Japanese guy. And the Japanese guy could not return a serve.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
Gareth was very similar. Yeah.
he played a French player called Eric Varin.
Yeah.
And all the Jamaicans went to watch him play. And it was embarrassing. We were laughing so much at Varin not being able to return the serves that the umpire had to run us out of there. Because every time Garrett served and the guy hit, the serve went flying all over the place. The same thing happened. And then I watched that serve at Commonwealth Games in 2002, and nobody could return the serve, not even the Nigerians.
Yeah, Gareth.
Big Toriola
Gareth took it to
could
the
not
next
return
level.
Garrett Herbert's serve. That's how deadly that serve was.
Yeah, Gareth took mine to a next level. But I remember, I think it was the Worlds in Manchester, maybe 98, and I was just come on the scene. I played Kintek Sue, and he was about 5 in the world at the time. And I was like 20-17 up in the first game. He was so much better than me, but it was the same thing. He just couldn't read a serve. He beat me, I think, 26-24. After that, he beat me easy the next 2 games. But that was a good example where, because he didn't know
those
what I
guys-
was. He just didn't know what was
Those
going
guys
on.
are just quick, but
Kid, that serve was terrible.
yeah, man. I remember I
saw
said
big
yeah.
players afraid to touch the ball.
Sometimes I remember my
Yeah.
experience was a junior coming up.
You played
and,
it?
No, and they came to Jamaica.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that the serve. I was like, yo,
There was a guy named Rushton who came.
Rushton,
Yeah, Andrew Rushton.
Garrett
yeah.
came, and
We
I
were
think
all the
you
same,
came.
training together, yeah.
yeah.
Those were awful serves, man. I'm
Yeah.
glad they changed the rules.
Yeah.
That was a good
But yeah,
trip.
that-
I remember that trip. That was good fun, that trip.
Yeah, that was good having
We
you
had
guys.
training
And
camp
you
as well,
touch
didn't
on playing Kim Texu, I mean, who is a legend in the sport, and you're up. But even so, tell us, you take from your career one of your most, or some of your most memorable moments when you look back and be like, yeah, whether it's a victory, it may be a loss, may be against, I mean, Kim Texu, which is a big opponent, but what your most memorable moment in your table tennis career?
I think playing in the Worlds and Commonwealths was a big joy, representing the country and that. Had a couple of good wins, players in the top 50, winning the under-21 national championships. They're probably the key ones. And then my time in Sweden was I'll never forget that, I think just the mindset you had to have, it changed your mindset of professional sport. The way those guys ate, they thought about how they ate. They thought about, they just did the training for themselves. When you were growing up, it was like my parents would make me go out to train, and then it was a different level. It was like you started to want to train for yourself. You wanted to train for your results. And these guys were going on 5-mile runs themselves, and that was.
Darren, what was your best victory? What victory do you?
I
have
would
in
probably
your
say a guy called Nakamura at the time, who was probably
Japan. Yeah.
Japanese. He would have been about 45 in the world at the time.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Again, it was the serves. I remember.
Yes, I know.
To win 5 points. That's a good way to kick it off, to win 5
So,
points.
and who was the best player you ever played against in life?
I think Waldner's got to be the best. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you play one night, it's hard to get any better than that.
Yeah, he was. You just felt, it was one of those guys you played and you felt he could win every point if he wanted to.
Yeah.
He had that. He had such an aura about him. Even when he lost, you felt he probably lost on purpose. That was the sort of aura he had about him.
Yes.
Because I remember him losing in the team event it was the same, the Manchester Worlds, I think it was, and losing to Samson.
Yes.
And then he won the singles so easy.
Without
And-
losing a set. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
In Manchester.
And you just had a feeling about him. The other person's got to be Des. So Des,
Des.
when I
Yeah.
was training in, when we were back at the National Centre, he was one of the sparring partners. He had retired. He would have been
Yes.
late 40s. Still couldn't get a set off him, even when I was at my best. And he would just sit there giggling away, you know, moving me around.
we had him on the show, and he nonchalantly said he came out of retirement and he beat who was it?
He beat I think he beat
Lugo
Lugo Liang.
He said he beat Lugo
He had a
Liang,
picture of a
and
Lugo
it's
Liang.
I mean,
He was
he never see the
unbelievable
big deal
talent.
because he wasn't really following table tennis and knew who Gulang was. And I was like, oh yeah, and then he was just so nonchalant about him, like, you just said he beat Lugo Yang. I'm like, oh yeah, some Chinese guy. And we all know Lugo Yang is Lugo Yang. So this is legendary, and I mean,
He was an unbelievable talent. The way he played.
and that's after retirement. He
Yeah,
was like,
exactly.
So
Yeah.
I can
And
imagine him at the peak of his career when he was younger. I mean,
just so quick.
Yeah.
And I think the story of him, you know, growing up training with no space and why he had to stay close to the table. And then
Yes.
the only problem he had when he was coaching was he just couldn't understand how you couldn't play like him.
Yeah,
So he'd
yeah.
talk to me, and it'd say to me, "You just need to go back and back and back and switch." And he couldn't
Yeah,
understand.
backhand.
He didn't have a backhand, you know.
I think he's probably his anticipation was amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's not just a quick movement, but he was moving before you hit the ball because he knew where the ball was going. So I have one Desmond Douglas story.
Yeah.
So Desmond Douglas came to Jamaica and was playing this tournament we had called the Lovebird. It was one of these big international
Yeah,
tournaments.
I remember that.
And he was playing against Dragutin Srbek. And you know Srbek from Yugoslavia, now Siberia. So when they drive the ball to Douglas, he would have this gesture, like an electric shock came through his body. So he would be doing this kind of stuff, and people were saying, "What the hell is going on?" Because they call him the Black Flash, you know.
Yeah.
And after he beat Srbek, he won the tournament because Srbek was driving all over the place, and Des would just be blocking like this and doing these kind of things. So afterwards, a woman came to shake his hand and said, Des, you did well. And she extended her hand, and Des came, yeah. so that was like a natural nervous movement.
It's strange how he used to play. It just blocked you all around the table, and it'd just be in training. It just used to be laughing, you know, because you'd be running all around the court, and it'd just be blocking
His
you.
feeling was great. That's what you call it.
But he's no, I still talk to Des a bit, but I'm really good friends with a lot of the guys, which is good with table tennis. You know, Sky Andrew, Terry Young, Gareth Herbert. We're all really good friends.
We had Des on the show like just when we started, maybe a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
He was fantastic. So give our regards.
Yeah.
No, we'll do for sure.
And
man.
And I mean, with the table tennis, as I said, one thing I take from table tennis is a camaraderie. Even after your career, being friends with these guys and still communicating.
Exactly, yeah. Friends
is one
around
of the
the
best
world.
things with the sport. As I mean, even
And how's table tennis now? How's table tennis now in Jamaica? How's it going? For you guys?
Not so good. We're working on it.
We're working on it. It's kind of on a down.
You still have the same. I remember when I was out there. Obviously, the funding was the big challenge.
Still the same issue.
Yeah.
Still the same issue, but I mean, we love the sport and we have to continue to press on and try to even grow the sport or get it back to where, I mean, it's on an international level. Because, I mean, I hear the stories from back in the day where we have all these international players. So, I mean, and I said, we need incentive plus a support system, and that's lacking here in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And if you don't get that, I mean, the
Well,
sport
it's
won't
important
grow.
that people hear that Jamaicans, such as yourself, have gotten to the top of the sport and can get to the top of the sport. So you're a positive example.
Yeah,
for
it
people
makes
to
a big
follow.
difference, like you say, if you have the sport.
Yeah.
And the bit I
So-
love when I was in Jamaica, the passion was just unbelievable.
Come on, it's there. It's
Yeah.
there. It's still there.
It's still there.
So by having
guys-
you here, at least people have an example that Jamaicans can get to the top of the sport. So like yourself and Desmond Douglas.
And be world
Yeah.
beaters. And I mean, it's tough, but hey, we can compete with the best of them.
Yeah.
I mean, because I've played
Yeah.
Japanese before and give them a run for their money, and we're out there playing and representing, and that's one of the greatest feelings. And you know,
No, exactly. And what are you, four times national champion, is it?
yeah, four.
Yeah, he has a few more than
He has
than I
a few,
do.
just a few more than Peter. Yeah.
But no, all the guys like, I mean, Keith Garvey, even the guys who weren't playing, who was just so passionate, you know,
Yes.
Marsh at the time. And that's what you saw that passion. It was a shame. You know, and it was even for me, it was a shame that I wasn't able to do it more because I was working full time, and you only had like 3 weeks holiday at a time. You know, when you get in the real world, I just didn't have enough time to travel out there for tournaments. But that was the biggest probably regret, because I would have loved to have continued to play for Jamaica over those years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was great to have you, and I said even that small stint and coming to Jamaica and playing was a eye opener for a lot of kids my age and even some of the senior players.
Yeah.
I said that serve.
Yeah, but it's important we maintain the link here, Darren, because
no, definitely. I was there in the summer, but I was in Ocho Rios. But next time I come out, I'll make sure I come up to Kingston and see if I can still if I can cope with you guys still. So I know you're
We're all here.
We're definitely here. We're definitely here.
All right, bro.
All
right.
Good having you on.
Right.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate your time.
Out.
Take care.
Thank you, Darren.
Thanks.
All right.
One love. Respect. All right. That was Darren Blake, former Jamaica and England representative table tennis. And I said,
Wish we had more time.
Yeah.
I want to hear more table tennis anecdotes.
yeah, because he was touching on talking about playing in the World Championships and Commonwealth Games and the feel to go out there and play.
Yeah.
Even just to watch, because right now currently there's a World Championship going on in Korea, the World Table Tennis Championships. And I know you're going to touch on a bit of that in your sports commentary. And I won't steal your thunder, because you always come and say I steal your thunder. So, gentle people, we're going to jump right into it, because it's time for sports commentary with the controversial boss himself. Greetings.
Welcome to sports commentary. I don't know how many of you all have been watching the World Championships in Korea, but I have. Some of the most exciting table tennis I have ever seen is going on. I'm going to give you guys a little rundown through it. But the first piece of news that came from the World Championship was that the United States was playing to get into the knockout round against Kazakhstan. And the US number 3 player turned up late for his racket test.
Yeah.
And his racket test he failed. Well, he didn't fail. He turned up late for his racket test and then went on to play his match. The umpires allowed him to play the match, and he played the match and won. Okay?
Yeah.
So picture, if you will, that Jishan Liang won his match, and then while they were about to play the last match, the tie break, all of a sudden, there's a lot of kerfuffle. And as it turns out, they tested his bat and found that his bat had failed. So the US is protesting. They lodged a protest that you should not be able to test a person's bat after they have finished competing. But unfortunately, I don't agree. Jishan Liang is using a kind of rubber you see cane. It's called hurricane rubber. And you put a lot of stuff in that rubber, boosting
juice.
to make the rubber play.
Juice.
And the more juice you put, the faster the bat gets.
Yeah.
However, there's a rule that says the bat can be no thicker than 4 millimeters. And his bat was several percent over the tolerable limit. The US is protesting because they're saying it's not justice to make him play the match and then disqualify him. But it's conditional on him having a legal bat. In my opinion, and by the way, I know the history. Liang has been caught boosting before, just so you guys know. Liang has been caught boosting. I have sources in the USA who tell me that he's a notorious booster, whatever you want to call it. And so his disqualification had to occur, because the other option would have been, if you don't turn up with your bat in time, you're not allowed to play. And I think that's where we have to go to in table tennis. If we're going to test the bats and the man does not turn up with his bat, right? I mean, Liang must have known why he didn't turn up with his bat. Did he expect to come there with a super juice bat, win the match, and then just go scot-free? Not gonna happen. Same thing happened to Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson was tested after the event.
Yeah.
Right?
After winning.
Yeah, it's either you had an unfair advantage or you did not. And I submit to you that he did. Let's move on. The semifinals in the men's was extraordinarily exciting. Japan versus China. Japan had them 2-1. I'm sorry. No. The semifinal I'm talking about, Korea. Korea had China 2-1 at home.
Yeah.
And the heroics of Fan Jindong and later on Wang Chuqin saved China a lot of blushes, because China was able to win 3-2 in order to make their final yet again. On the other side of the equation, France has fought their way over Taiwan, and you guys need to watch that match between
Chinese Taipei.
Chinese Taipei, Taiwan, same difference. But the fact of the matter is that tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning or somewhere around there, the finals, the big finals will be China versus France. I am here to make yet another prediction. I have no right to make predictions, as of last week. But China, I think, will beat France. And I think it will be 3-1 and possibly 3-0. And if we win one game, it will probably be Felix LeBron will take a game. But other than that, I don't see
no chance.
The big LeBron or Simon Gauzy, I don't see any of them winning a game against the Chinese. On the women's side, the finals was played today. What an exciting match. And you'll hear me say this again and again, that this table tennis tournament represents the pinnacle of table tennis. It's the highest level I've seen in a long time. Everybody's countering at full force, including Harimoto, who used to just block on the forehand side. Everybody's going full guns, and it's great for the players to watch. I hope the ITTF makes no more changes to the game so that we can watch table tennis in its beauty. What a beautiful sport.
Yeah, very beautiful. To play and to watch.
It matches football at its highest. The problem is you only get a football at its highest once every 4 years. This table tennis thing is every year we have table tennis at the pinnacle. I couldn't sleep last night. It was fantastic. The other thing that made me lose sleep is my predictions of UFC. I hope nobody bet the farm. Last week I told you all to bet the farm and bet the house. I made some bet myself, so I'm feeling your pain because Volkanovski lost to Topuria. Now, I went through and why did I make the mistake? I'd never really seen Topuria fight except the fight before this one. And it was a knockout. And so it's hard to judge. But I thought Volkanovski would have been able to adjust to his points. The guy don't have a lot of depth to me. I didn't think Topuria had great grappling or anything. But in fighting, you're always susceptible to the potential of what they call the flash knockdown, right? So forgive me, people, because I know what I am doing. But I made a big mistake. Volkanovski got knocked out, got the lights out. I also predicted that Paulo Costa would have won, and I lost again. I was having a bad streak.
Yeah.
So
we all have those bad days.
So, unlike other people, I am only flesh and blood. And please forgive me. Yo, let me tell you guys something now. What a modern component of sports, and I wish Dale Parham, who is not feeling well at the moment, could tell me. But every sport should involve a balance of skill, power, and timing and all these things. Every sport, right? But we keep on trying to change sports to remove the skill component. Understand what I'm saying? In the long jump now, what they're trying to do now is to change the rules so you don't have to jump at the mark. They want to measure from wherever you jump from. Now, what foolishness is this? What foolishness is this? Want to hear what I say? They're now going to test it electronically to see where you jump from and where you land. Why? Now, let me tell you why this is a bad idea. First of all, everybody else who has jumped for the last 100 years had to carefully run up to the bar and jump from behind the bar. Is that fair to say?
Fair.
The reason for it is that, I'm going to explain the reason. But no, they want you to run at full tear away without checking where you jump. You're removing the skill component, you're removing the timing component, and then you jump. Of course, you're going to break. If Usain Bolt, with no training, runs up and just jumps, he's going to jump further than Carl Lewis did and Bob Beamon did, right? And because the skill component is being removed. You cannot remove the skill component. In olden days, how the long jump started, is that primitive man, primordial man, whatever you want to call him, used to run to the river, to the cliff, and jump over to the other side. Can we agree? That's why long jump was valued. You used to run, I will tell you the origin of the high jump, but we're talking about the origin of the long jump. You run up to the cliff, you have to go as close to the cliff as possible and jump over to get to the other side of the cliff. Now you tell me, if you jump back from 2 feet before the cliff, you're going to land in the cliff. You're going to land, you're going to drop in the ground. So therefore, long jump skill requires you to time your run. And whoever is trying to change these rules is some mad people. That's just my opinion. Okay, next question. Is Kaheem Dixon the next big thing in football? Because I've been watching some videos of this guy. And I even see somebody say he's the reincarnation of the Pearl. Maybe not so. But I think that this guy is going to produce some sumptuous football in time. The guy has the striker's instinct. It's the same thing that Romario have, and the same thing that Prebar Elkiar have, and the same thing that these guys who score goals that you didn't see them until they scored a goal. That's what this guy strike me as. And he's a very skillful striker too. Go on YouTube and look for scissors kick goal from Kaheem Dixon, or look for his Premier League debut. This guy is the real deal. Now, I was a little offended the other day when somebody sent me a video. Was it you? With a lady named, I don't remember her name. But
Lexi Jones?
Lexi something another,
Lexi
WNB
Jones.
player. And there's a basketball player, Michael Porter, who was saying that you ladies cannot get the same pay as us because because of the market. Yeah, you female, and I hear you kind of say you females no, because because of the market and all these kind of things, and they were taking him to task. No, I think Michael Porter was being a nice guy and trying to tell the ladies that even in table tennis, there is a skill component, and table tennis players have a lot of skill, but they don't make as much money as basketball players. So these ladies came on to the studio with a bunch of table tennis paddles and hitting the ball about like table tennis is nothing. And I took it personally. I think you took it personally too. Because she is showing disrespect for sport, and in the same way that she's accusing poor Michael Porter of showing disrespect for ladies in the same sport. You can't be biased one way and not biased the other.
So ignorant.
But let me bring in more of my ignorance. Leslie Tebogo just ran what is called a world record for 300 meters. He ran 30.71, beating Wayne Leclerc's record of 30.81. And people are jumping up and down? No, because 300 meters is not really a distance to run at. What is people making fuss about? 300 meters is like 75 meters, or it's like 500 meters, or 700 meters. It's no big thing. What Tebogo need to do is to figure out how to run a 400 meter or a 200 meter. What you're bothering my internet about a 300 meter run for? No, what people have against Cindy Breakspear? Bob Marley movie come out, right? And all of a sudden we hear all these people are dissing Cindy Breakspear, calling her all kind of things that uptown, skettle, and all this kind of thing. Just because, listen, there's a movie that came out that is basically the Rita Marley version of the events of the Bob and I. And nothing is wrong with that. Stories are told from different perspectives all the time. Yeah. Who win the war get to tell the story. So Rita tells a story and Cindy gets marginalized. And there's a lot of hostility for Cindy. I wonder where it's coming from. I mean, Cindy has done Jamaica proud. She was a Miss World. She was a Miss Jamaica. She's the mother of one of our great artists, probably youngest ever reggae Grammy winner, and all that kind of thing. So give her props, man. We can all exist on this small planet, And somebody sent me a picture of Bob Marley. Somebody sent me a picture of Bob Marley with a table tennis racket. And so I was asked to analyze Bob Marley's level of table tennis. So as a TT expert, you agree I'm an expert?
Yeah.
As a TT expert, I'm going to tell you that based on Bob Marley's holding of the racket and so on, Bob Marley would have been a decent player. Bob Marley had a child with one of Jamaica's great table tennis players, Anita Bell Nevis. And so Bob Marley was always in the table tennis group, right? He hung around table tennis, and if he had hung around table tennis long enough, we don't know how good he could have become, except that at some point, Bob Marley didn't stay within the group. He made an exodus. Fair enough. Those who get the pun, get the pun. Anyhow, I hear that Bolt buy a house for his mother in Australia for $40-odd million. I don't know if it's true. I've been researching it. I don't know what Bolt like about Australia. So he was down there playing football. And I saw there are some salacious articles about Bolt and nude student in the pool and all kind of things. So Bolt is having a good time down in Australia. But I tried to figure out why would Bolt like Australia so much. And I think the secret is in kangaroo meat. Kangaroo meat is very nutritious. And Bolt is probably enjoying the kangaroo meat down in Australia. Or some meat. One meat or the other. Does kangaroo meat count as white meat?
Red meat. I think it's red meat. I've had kangaroo meat before. Red meat. Tasty.
Anyway, on a sad note, I have to give tribute to my good friend Hubert Lawrence. You guys, I think you guys know this. When we were starting Primal for the very first time, our very first guest on Primal Sports was a man who was very popular. His word is very definitive. He was affable. He was knowledgeable, and we thought the very first guest and the best guest that we could have chosen for Primal Sports would be Hubert Lawrence.
Yeah.
Hubert Lawrence and I go a long way back. Hubert Lawrence and I played table tennis up at UWI many a time, and we've always been friends. When the last World Championships was being played 2 years ago, I had the honor of being asked by Hubert to be an expert commentator on the World Championships, and he wrote an article and we discussed it, and I considered his knowledge quite encyclopedic, if such a word exists. And it was a pleasure working with him in preparing that article about the World Championships. Hubert and I formed a table tennis club called, what's the name of the table tennis club? Barbican Terrace Table Tennis Club, where we set up a place for people to play. It's one of the few places to play in Jamaica. So we go quite a long way back. Hubert has been a guest on Primal 3, maybe 4 times. And he always draws record crowds. You guys can look up on YouTube the episodes in which he appeared. But I just want to salute my friend Hubert Lawrence. It's really sad. We're going to miss you. Somebody who I always call for their perspective on things. I don't think Hubert has ever offended anybody in the world, unlike me, who offends pretty much everybody. But rest in peace, my brother. And that's sports commentary. What say you?
Yeah. I agree with Peter on that one. In closing, Hubert Lawrence, definitely a legend. Very humble. A man you can talk to and can go to about anything. Yeah. But yeah, Peter touched on a few points, and my takeaway from it, Peter used some words in his soliloquy.
Yeah.
Because I even asking him about if encyclopedic is a word. I hear him say kerfuffle. Is kerfuffle a word? The listeners out there, please research it and call in, because do remember the phone lines are now open. 1-876-552-7406, and that's via WhatsApp only. 1-876-552-7406. Kerfuffle. I know salacious is a word, but the man dropped some word this week. But yeah, I'm touching on a few key points. Especially.
I want to attack this female named Lexi Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw.
Peter took offense to it.
Took offense to it.
No, I was the one that sent you guys, because I do my research and.
She's a Dublin NBA player, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and she came out there with the ball. I just saw a little
clipping of it. No, but you can watch it in entirety. She has her points. Michael Porter Jr. has her points.
What
his points?
What point she have? I want to know.
I'm not saying that
she deserves to get.
I'm not agreeing with her, but I said she have her points.
Well, I want to know what's her point.
She's saying that male players need to do more to promote the female sport, and she's think that instead of bashing the females, I don't know if I can say females, because she probably take offense to it.
Yes.
But I guess it's a culture thing, because I think it can be used in a derogatory fashion, but I don't use it in that fashion. So females, women, because they prefer women's sports.
So, but on one hand, she said that the NBA players, the male players, need to help promote the W.
Even so, coming out saying stuff like that, they're putting the sport in a bad light. And,
So what was she doing with the table tennis racket? And
first of all, we have to go on what Michael Porter Jr. said. He was saying that, they can't expect the same pay as the male sport because of how it is marketed. And he used ping pong. He said ping pong. Table tennis, we call it table tennis. Americans call it ping pong. And he was saying that the reason why, say for example, the best ping pong players won't get the same money as the NBA players, because it's how it's marketed and viewership. And he's using that comparison with the female version of the game, saying there's no way you can get the same pay.
Based on.
And she took offense to that. And she came in her podcast, because she's on Gilbert Arenas podcast. Amazing podcast to listen to. I listen to it all the time. I find them funny and informative. But for me, the low point about it, she's saying that Michael Porter Jr. should do more to promote the sport. And he's acting somewhat in of an ignorant manner. So to say, with stuff, belittling, I'm saying Colin
she
Fields.
also used the word dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, she also used the word dumb as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, and the podcast started out with them with a table tennis paddle, not even a real table tennis racket,
Yeah.
a paddle and a ball, and hit it around in the studio. So they're taking a jab at Michael Porter Jr. by taking a jab at him, referring to table tennis as a sport, really. When, if you really know that,
Canada's a poo-poo, like
yeah,
just like ping pong,
it is a
you know?
ping pong. How can you dare compare table tennis to basketball or even the money basketball players make? But what I'm saying, Peter, she doesn't even know that table tennis players are more skilled than basketball players.
Yes.
So, but
Especially WNBA players. No, I can say it. I can say
no,
it.
you said it.
Especially WNBA.
But you said it.
Because I
Because
watched,
WNBA is a new sport.
Yeah, I watched
It's a new
a little of the WNBA, and they're nowhere near close
to the NBA.
to the skill level of the NBA players. Much less
They're
table tennis players.
They're growing. It's a growing sport.
It's not even close.
It's not even. I agree with you.
Not
Just like the
even
female
close.
version of football.
I can tell
They're
you, I
growing.
can take up a ball now. After not playing for 15 years, and she cannot beat me one-on-one.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah,
I don't know
telling you.
about that.
I'm
Remember, your
telling
knees
you.
not good anymore now. Because back in the day. But even so,
Come
I
on,
mean,
I watched the double. That's
but
where,
even so, I'm not
that's where she
comparing
went
it.
wrong.
I'm not comparing it versus male versus female,
No.
or the male version versus the female version. But I do agree with Michael Porter Jr. is that you get paid based on how your sport is marketed. That's why female tennis players get the same amount of money as male tennis players because they're on the same level of marketing
numbers,
value and the numbers.
yeah.
I will get up and watch a female Grand Slam table tennis, tennis final
Yeah.
and a male final.
Yeah.
Even a WTA, I'll turn on the TV and sit and watch a female tennis match and a male tennis match.
All
It has
right.
nothing to do with gender. So even so, he was touching on the point more so that it really has nothing to do with gender.
numbers,
It's the
it's
numbers
the
and how we
market,
market and watch
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And why is the sport watched? I would say that because the NBA shows more of a skill factor, shows more of an entertainment factor.
Yeah.
And I use it to compare to tennis, where tennis, the females in tennis show that level of entertainment, level of competitiveness, level of skill factor, because tennis is on a high level, female-wise and male-wise,
Of course. Yeah.
versus the WNBA and NBA, where there's a vast difference. Just like World Cup female, World Cup male, it's a vast difference.
Yeah.
Vast difference of entertainment level. And he was just touching on the point of how the sport is marketed. But she took offense of it is that he's bashing the females, even calling bashing the women, sorry.
I'm almost certain. I hear she said he's saying some dumb SH.
Yeah.
Dumb. And I'm saying, what is dumb about what Michael is saying? There's nothing dumb. It's straight numbers.
But we all try to learn, and I mean, and I find that she was even being ignorant about table tennis, because I take it personal. People who know me, that anybody who's bashes table tennis, I take it personal. People ask me, "Yo, you need to go gym for table tennis?" I'm like, you don't even know.
Talking about Michael Porter, all he does is dunk. And I'm saying, what are you watching?
But him scored 34 last night.
This man a shoot three. This man.
This man scored 34 last
this
night.
man skill
The
level.
man light up the court
Yeah.
last night. But and plus, I think he was even more trying to promote the sport, female sport, than do it any harm.
Yeah,
But I mean, people take things out of context. Maybe I'm taking it out of context of what they were implying about table tennis. But clearly, they don't know anything about table tennis.
clear. That's clear.
But
that's
even
clear.
to push table tennis aside and not look on the table tennis factor and look on WNBA versus NBA, do you think or do you expect WNBA players to get the same amount of pay as the NBA players?
No.
To the level of the sport where both are right now.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult because it's not as explosive. You know, they're just not as explosive, and the skill level is just totally different. So it's going to be very hard for them to ever to be able.
Some people say lower in the rim and they find it disrespectful.
Lower in the rim.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
females.
because I know in volleyball, Peter, right? In volleyball, you have a different height.
The females have a lower net than
Of course, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, because
Yeah.
we know that males jump higher than females.
Yes.
And
So-
some of the entertainment factor in the NBA is that the high flyers between the legs, I mean, dunking over people.
Yeah.
But even so, I mean, the speed at which the game is played is a different level. I mean, we know females can shoot. We saw the All-Star Weekend, which I might touch on soon too. The All-Star Weekend is now a joke
I
thing.
believe they have a better chance in skill sports that are more technical.
Yeah.
Like in terms of comparison, like
Yeah.
tennis,
table tennis, racket sports.
racket sports, anything that,
Whereas
requires so much power,
Yeah.
and more technique and skill. I think they can find equal,
More
almost
explosiveness.
equal market value
More
at-
explosiveness.
within those sports, but I don't think it's possible within a sport like NBA.
It's gonna be tough.
It's gonna be extremely difficult.
And even so, to demand or expect the same pay is still gonna be tough. But I mean, later down the road, we might see the game grow to that level.
Yeah.
But I mean, where the NBA is coming from, because if you look at what the players make now versus what Michael Jordan made, Michael Jordan paved the way, and these guys getting $100 million contracts, and they're nowhere near the level of Michael Jordan.
Exactly.
They don't play enough minutes, they won't play enough seasons, they won't score much points, and they make more money now. So the sport has to grow.
Yeah.
So she has to look on that in context that the WNBA also has to grow, whereby later down the road they get more money. But to reach a point where they get the same amount of money, it might be probably
3 decades.
3 lifetimes down the line, 3 centuries down the line. What you say?
Even have more
And by the way,
All-Star.
kerfuffle is a word. You know what I mean? I did some research. I mean, it's cause a commotion or a fuss. So, I mean, we're all about the learning experience here. You have to broaden your horizon. You know what I mean? And he was being quite encyclopedic. Yeah. Big up to Peter for that one. But right now, we are frogging 5.
Yeah, good afternoon again, our listeners out there. So, again, condolences to the Lawrence family. Brian Spuddy Rickman of Track and Field. That voice is going to be missed, if it even will leave, because everything having to do with track and field in Jamaica, that's Hubert Lawrence's voice. Just as though we go to the Caymanas track, Brian Rickman. Condolences again. And to big up Natasha Wright and Jamal Wright, CEO of Mindful International. They have a conference in Ontario, Canada, March 22nd. Leadership conference. So Canada people can look out for that one. Sports. We're all familiar with gatekeepers. You know, the music industry have this gatekeepers thing going around, blocking persons from reaching the next level. And I do believe that I think sports have that gatekeeper as well. And some countries are being gatekeepers, blocking some other sports from entering their country. And I came up with this theory because that same Michael Porter Jr. and Lexi Brown situation, it's a cultural difference. You know, over the East, table tennis and other sports control these. You're not going to basically find NBA be promoted.
No, man, basketball big in the East, man. Big, man. China basketball big.
China.
Basketball
But
big.
compared to America.
No,
it's
man,
a lot of
basketball-
times-
no,
compared
man.
to the West.
Basketball big.
It's compared to table tennis then.
No, it's not as big in
Exactly my point. So when you look at it, the table basketball in the East is a table tennis to the West. In terms of the Americas, it's not so
not
much.
necessarily.
Somewhat within that
Not
spectrum.
not
It's
necessarily.
not there. So I'm saying, before you bash another sport in terms of money, don't be a gatekeeper. Help to build that sport. Don't try to block out that sport. And even here in Jamaica, we find that there are a lot of sports out here who need the funding, but some administration decide that we're not going to fund that sport. We're not going to fund this sport. And they decide where to put the money. And that is my take. We don't want no more gatekeepers in sports. We want the gate for fly.
But even so,
Especially
Michael,
for table tennis.
Michael Porter Jr. was doing table tennis some justice, if you ask me. In mentioning table tennis and say,
The money.
the skill level that is in table tennis, I mean, and you don't expect to get NBA money based on how it is marketed. Because what I get from it is was saying that, hey, ping pong players are elite. I mean, the top players don't get the NBA money.
Won't get it.
And won't get it.
They
I mean,
won't
it's
get
all the
it.
sport market. So to even bring up table tennis, I think it was highlighting table tennis in a sense.
They won't get it still.
you think table tennis could ever reach to that level, whether it's marketed or not?
I mean, if China run the world,
Yeah.
If China,
if China,
Yeah.
if China run the world,
if China run the
Because
world,
Yeah,
though, you see, the Americans they're not so susceptible of a lot of sports, you know, outside of America, especially America.
and even so, I was even seeing a site the other day where they're saying the top 10 richest leagues in the world. Who do you think is number one?
or the Super League in China,
No, number
The
even
world.
so, sports all over league.
it must be soccer or
No.
cricket or one of them.
Do you know that IPL is number 4? The Indian Premier League is number 4 in the world.
Cricket,
I don't remember the complete list, but cricket is number 4 in the world. And cricket is not a global sport. How many countries play cricket? Why is
Zero.
that? It's because India,
They control that
Bangladesh,
section.
Pakistan, all that subcontinent play cricket.
Could the average person appreciate table tennis? That's my point.
Average.
If they're
I
given
say a lot of average people out there.
Of course, we have more average than elites. Of course. But can the average person really
And
comprehend and understand it?
You understand-
Because
you hear that
it's easy-
statement,
for me,
Peter?
It's easy to understand cricket, sit and watch cricket. Man, basketball is simple. I'm just saying, I think table tennis is.
I guess it's the way the sport is structured as well.
if they're
And
given the
entertainment
opportunity.
Like lawn tennis now.
But people
When we
do
watch
enjoy
lawn
it.
tennis. 2 seconds and we can see the ball move in 3 seconds before it reaches the other side.
But that's why
It-
the
it-
table tennis has gone through so many changes.
They're
To
trying
make
to slow it
this,
down.
they're trying to make the sport more user friendly, so to say.
more feasible.
Did you watch the World Championships? It was very exciting.
Peter is exciting to us.
No man, the game is becoming more exciting to a casual.
It's becoming more marketable. That's why they change the ball. They change it. They change the ball. They change the material. Change the
It's more exciting to
because we are lovers of the sport, Peter. No, we agree, but because we are lovers of the sport, the average person does not know that table tennis world championship is going on and should watch it.
But as I said, if they're given the opportunity to learn the
And
sport,
if they see
So you
something,
guys believe that if they put table tennis on the TV every day, right?
yeah,
Yes.
People
Yeah.
start to love
yes,
it.
Yes.
My friend sent me a clip the other day of Carson making that shot of where he missed
Constantly being sent clips.
when he missed the ball and come around and make the shot and be like, can you ever do something like that? I said something like that, but not that, cause that is
was amazing.
That what him do is next level. But I've been in a position where I make shots where I basically wrong footed and going the other way. And so probably behind the back or even a reflex shot off the edge.
Amazing shot.
Yeah, I mean,
Yesterday,
as Dave said a while ago, the average and the elites, and I think he put me in the elite. Although I'm not in his top 10.
no,
but,
but the point is, anybody can appreciate a fantastic
yeah,
TV show.
yeah.
Don't make it look like it's
And the sport is trying to be more, watchable. But the thing is, it's high speed. The points are not as long as lawn tennis
Yes.
versus watching a NBA match for 2.5 hours.
even in your
I mean,
I
90
would
minutes
say
per.
the dynamics of the sport make it
Yeah,
even-
they're
difficult.
yeah,
even in your ranking, where does the NFL lie?
in terms
Top
of.
richest, the top
I think it's about 6. I think it's about 6. I think NFL is about 6. It's in the top 10. I have to go check and look back on the list of top 10. But
soccer, right?
I think so. EPL and even
So I think they're
but the Russian league, Russian Premier League is up there as well.
Well,
And we don't watch Russian Premier League. I think Russian league is like probably 6 or 7. I have to check back the list. Next week I'll have that list for you. But when I saw cricket come in at number 4, I was like,
IPL.
IPL, I was like, there you go.
and cricket will be global in the next 4 or 5
NHL,
years.
I think NHL is also there
Yeah,
as well.
ice are easier.
T20, I should say T20 cricket.
More
So
richest
as I say,
sports.
it goes back to what I'm saying. It's just how you market the sport, and if table tennis is marketed more in the Americas, in the West, and pushed out there, and you have to look
And
at
then I
it.
think, then again, you have
every
to
day.
have a household name attached to it. Why
We don't
watch
have
it?
that.
Why watch it? Chinese people watch it because they
Yeah,
have
household
names
names.
attached to it. I mean,
And,
in
and,
them,
and is table tennis
and the level,
difficult sport
and the level that
in terms of the resources?
No.
You know,
No.
like football, you see that open grass, piece of grass, and go kick some ball.
You don't have to be grass.
TT, you need.
You don't have to be grass.
You need roof, you need light. You need
people think
midfield.
that table tennis at Emancipation Park is table tennis.
I'm just saying.
Concrete
tell me-
table tennis.
So
But that's a good
I
way of
think-
marketing the sport as well.
Yeah.
Having
Concrete
tables in, because I've been to China and I've seen tables in parks and you go around. So having more concrete tables around, although that's not exactly the sport.
Yeah.
And then
Just as though you were.
there's a winning sense to it. Why is track and field big in Jamaica? Track and field is not big in the world.
No,
But
it's
track
not.
and field is big in Jamaica.
Yeah, It's easy, you know.
It's
Boys and
easily
girls
ac-
champs
it's
next month.
accessible.
Next month is going to be
That's why I said it.
packed.
As I was wondering if some sports have an advantage based on
It's
the nature of the
access
sport.
and the access.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, that's
nature
what
and
I'm
sport.
saying. That
And then
tennis,
culture has a lot to do with it.
squash, Sports, you take a lot more. You know,
And table tennis is one of the
they
most
are
played
being
sports in the world.
yes, it is. It is.
And you have a table tennis association in every country in the world. Table tennis association, a volleyball association, and a football association.
Well,
But volleyball as well, to touch on volleyball. Volleyball is not as big in this region. But in Europe, volleyball on the leagues and all of that.
yeah, man.
But
Big
volleyball,
in Europe, yeah.
if we keep a volleyball tournament out here and the stars come out here, people be like, we're not going to watch that. But a true volleyball fan will be like, yo, we're taking some volleyball.
Getting
If
volleyball,
we have a-
getting volleyball is more entertaining to the regular person than table tennis.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do.
Especially
I
beach
went
vo-
to UTEC.
Yep,
When I come
UTEC
check
and
my
UE.
UTEC,
Yep.
And I sat down there and watched GC and you and the slamming of the ball. And
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
points are longer.
Yeah.
And
I
it,
love
yeah,
excitement.
yeah, it's all of that
And you
excitement.
have to throw yourself over there just to save a
Yeah.
point.
Although I've
Yeah.
been told that
TT.
people like to watch me play table tennis.
Yes.
I don't know if it's my shorts, you know. And back then when I used to squat at like 500 pounds. You remember Peter? And when my shorts and you know, probably that's why they're probably not really watching me play table tennis.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, there has to be some pull factor.
Yeah.
I remember, you know. But I mean, I think all sports have a place. And as I said, the marketing part or the aspect of it
has
is
to-
very important, and that's one of the points that Michael Porter Jr. was touching on, and then that helps with, I mean, the viewership, how you get paid, and all of that. So I mean, Primal is where it is now. I mean, remember when we started, I said with Hubert Lawrence, where we had probably like how many viewers, Peter, in the first show? Probably like 20 viewers.
It was like 30, 40.
30, 40 viewers, and I mean, Hubert came and did a fantastic show. If we can show that back over on YouTube.
I really have to jump in here. Today is again another record.
Yeah.
We're at 47,000 viewers, which is another record for Primal Sports. Congratulations, guys, you did it. And all of this started with Hubert Lawrence.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
congrats.
Well, as I said, I mean, of course, I mean, we have to market the show, and it's growing and it's getting bigger. So we try to market the show. We try to do a good job. We try to improve ourselves, watch back the show and see high points, low points, and that's why we have call-in segments for you to interact with us. And we haven't got callers in a few.
Yes, we need a call from Trelawney, only in the
Yes.
western side of the island. Come on, take out the phone.
Yeah, we need a call from Canada, England. We're in Canada, England, and all that because we think global already. And as we said, we promote curling today. I mean, curling. Jamaica has a curling team.
I was very surprised I didn't hear a sports comment anything about
Curling.
winter sports.
Yeah. Next,
Nice.
yeah, he's really nice. Yeah.
Yes,
Next week we'll probably hear more of that. But before I go, because time flies on the show, because I mean, and it's one of our extended shows. We have to touch a bit on track and field.
Yeah.
Because in the week we see where the indoor season is kicking off, and after the indoor season, we have the outdoor season later in the year. Right now, Gibson Relays is going on at the stadium. But earlier in the week, Rajinda Campbell threw 22.16 for a new national record that is now 12th all-time on the indoor list. And I mean, we have to big up Rajinda Campbell first and foremost because he's a Jamaican.
Did Civil run a personal best this week or last week?
I'm not so sure, but no,
He didn't run a personal best?
no, not to my knowledge. I have to double check on that. But Rajinda Campbell threw a new national indoor record of 22.16, and I mean, we have to touch on the Jamaican first, but on the other side of it, world records were run in the 60-meter hurdles, both male and female, where Grant Holloway ran 7.27 to break his own record last week. And on the female side, we have two females running 7.67, which is now the world indoor record. Tia Jones of the USA and Devine Charlton of the Bahamas. So, I mean, with these names and with these performances, we have to look forward to the outdoor season where we can be like, oh, where this person pop up from? These people doing the work on the inroads. And now the indoor season is in full flight, and we have to bring it to you here. So we see where Jamaica Rajinda Campbell, look out for him in Olympics. I hope him improve and get better. And I think him can go on that medal podium. The likes of all those big throwers around the world.
Yeah.
We know Grant Holloway, and I mean young Devine Campbell out of Bahamas, repping for this, side of the world. I mean the Caribbean. The Caribbean is this side, cause America is this side, but what kind of Jamaica versus the Caribbean are
Jamaica
Me,
versus
sorry.
Americas.
Jamaica versus America, or even the Caribbean versus
Jamaica.
USA. So
If you should wrap up a try,
Yeah,
I
we're
wanted
good.
to ask real quick. I saw something on IG about Butler and the kids going away. What was that about?
So under
Craig
20.
Butler with the football.
So what happened is that
20?
a few under 20 players were selected for the Jamaica team to be in Martinique later today at 6 o'clock, and a few of them were actually from Phoenix Academy, but the JFF registered them as unattached.
Okay, so that caused a problem.
That
so
caused
they're
a big
gonna play
attach.
match when?
Today at 6 o'clock, Jamaica under 20 versus Martinique under 20. It's in Trinidad.
all right. So next week we'll have a wrap up of that of what will take place there. And next week's show sports is always happening, so we'll have more for you next week. And again, we want to thank the General Sec of the Curling Association, Ben Kong, and Ian Robertson, the president, for coming on. To promote the sport of curling and so that Jamaica have a curling team, and we're currently in the national championships in Hamilton, Canada. Also, Darren Blake, former representative of Jamaica and England in table tennis, and shedding some light on his career and his inroads of the sport, and from where he was break some ground in English table tennis and also in Jamaican table tennis. So we want to big up all our guests today. And
And big up our listeners as well.
48K, 40K.
Yeah, Fit FM 96.7.
Yeah, man.
Primal 4K app, Facebook, YouTube. I want to thank you guys for tuning in
To the world.
each and every week. Primal Sports Center. Who's next up?
DJ Q is up next. And the word of the day, do remember, it's kerfuffle. Have to big up Peter for that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, have a good evening.
And one love from the Primal Sports Sec. Peace out and see you next week. Same time, same place. Have a blessed weekend.